ZTE's made a name for itself by selling affordable smartphones that are best described as not bad. Now, the company is extending its affordable premium philosophy to Android Wear watches with the Quartz, a sub-$200 wearable running Google's newest OS. For $192, the Quartz has an onboard radio for phone-free calls and texts, as well as a big battery. But despite these features, ZTE isn't going after advanced early adopters. Instead, the Quartz is designed for first-time smartwatch buyers, and for them, it will be mostly satisfying. The Quartz isn't the most attractive smartwatch, but its inoffensive aesthetic can easily be spruced up. You can swap out the default blue and black strap for other standard 22mm options. Of course, that adds to the price tag, but ZTE figures you'd probably try to change the band on pricier smartwatches too. What you can't swap, however, is the Quartz's round 1.4-inch face. The silver case with blue markings in its bezel looks polished but bland. Function clearly won out over form here. You'll also find the Quartz's AMOLED display adequate. It has a round 400x400 screen that is bright, sharp, and colorful. But it's unfortunately surrounded by an unsightly ring of dead black space. On the case's edge, at the 2 o'clock position, is a button you can press to go home or long press to summon the Google Assistant. This placement is somewhat awkward, as you have to reach ever so slightly further for it than if it were in the 3 o'clock spot like on most other watches. But it also prevents accidental presses when my hand bends backwards, say from pushing open a door, which is a problem I encountered with the LG Watch Style. There are, of course, trade-offs at this price. There's no heart rate sensor or NFC here, although the Quartz does have a cellular radio for pulling in data and making calls without a phone. That's better than basically any other watch at this price, including the Quartz's main competitor, the LG Watch Style, which is about $50 more expensive. I was concerned that the Quartz's affordability came with a compromise on performance, but it wasn't significantly slower than more expensive watches I've tested. The Quartz runs smoothly most of the time, although it occasionally hiccups when launching apps or installing a game via the Play Store. It's also slow to respond to voice commands, whether I'm asking to translate a phrase, write a message, or call a friend. But the Tag Heuer Connected Modular 45 and the LG Watch Style both suffer similar delays when dealing with speech. You're probably not going to play music through the Quartz's onboard speakers very often, but if you do, they're loud enough to hear from the other end of a room. This makes for easy hands-free calls, even in somewhat noisy environments. Sound quality is clear enough for voices, but as you'd expect, music sounds distorted and clangy. You can just connect to a pair of Bluetooth headphones for better quality though. What really sets the Quartz apart from the competition, besides its price, is its 500 mAh battery. That's larger than what LG and Huawei offer, and it's a big deal since Android Wear 2.0 watches tend to conk out before a full 24 hours is up. ZTE is promising 36 hours for the Quartz, and so far that claim holds true, as long as I don't go crazy downloading games or making too many calls. Battery life drops to a day with heavier use, but that's still longer than the LG watches managed. Ultimately, the ZTE Quartz is an able, basic Android wearable that stands out mostly for its price. Its cellular support alone is a bonus for what it costs, as is its bigger-than-average battery. Sure, its occasional performance issues may put off more impatient users, but for its target audience of first-time Android wearers, the Quartz is an adequate introduction to smartwatches.